Of course, we even had a judge some years back in the Ninth Circuit say, yeah, we know that we don't care what the Constitution says, we don't care what precedent says. We figure if we just put out enough opinions, they can't reverse them all. Well, to me, that's somebody that needs to be impeached.
Over the past few years, we've seen far too many unelected liberal judges take the power away from the people with a laundry list of insane court rulings. And this power grab is most egregious when it comes to illegal immigration. Like when federal judges on the Ninth Circuit blocked President Trump from repealing DACA, which Obama created unconstitutionally in the first place. You know, rulings like that bypass the power of Congress to make law, and by extension the people, with just a bang of a gavel. And while some members of Congress have suggested breaking up the craziest low-level courts or impeaching radical judges, conservative Congressman Louie Gohmert has introduced a new bill that would take illegal immigration out of the hands of the agenda-pushing federal circuit judges, like those on the Ninth Circuit, and give it back to the people through their elected representatives once and for all.
There is not enough sentiment here willing to remove judges that refuse to follow their oath and follow the Constitution. The Ninth Circuit is just a renegade court. If I had my way, I would, and some say, well, we can't just completely get rid of it. I said, okay, let's restrict their jurisdiction to controversies that arise in their building and no other. That might be helpful. But with regard to decisions like this regarding immigration, refugees, asylum, these judges are off the charts. I go back to the words of my constitutional law professor, David Gwynn, who said, look, there's only one federal court in the whole country that owes its existence to the Constitution. That's the U.S. Supreme Court. All other federal courts owe their existence and their jurisdiction to the United States Congress. In other words, Congress brings these courts into the world, we can take them out, we can restrict their jurisdiction, and if they don't want to follow that, then they need to be eliminated. So that's why my bill says immigration judges, of course, we need them at the lowest level to handle immediate disputes, and I don't mean 4 or 5 years after somebody comes in illegally, they get a hearing. Immediately handle those things. And if anything is unfair, then they have to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they can't go to some renegade district judge in Hawaii to have them overruling the Constitution itself.
What do you say to folks who argue that changing jurisdictions and breaking up circuits and impeaching activist judges, they're just partisan attacks from the legislature on the independent judiciary?
No, the only thing they're partisan about is partisan in favor of the Constitution. And we have come to a point that none of the founders could ever envision. I don't think there is anything more important that we could do to salvage what's left of the Constitution than reining judges in, and we do it by taking away their jurisdiction where they have no right to be ruling as they have here recently. So I think it's critical. And by the way, yeah, I was a felony judge, and then I was a Chief Justice of a Court of Appeals, and I wanted the law changed. I wanted a number of laws changed. And I knew you do not legislate from the bench under our Constitution. So I finished my term, and our governor said, hey, I've got an opening. I could appoint you to fill a vacancy. And I said, no, I want to change the law, and I need to run for Congress to do that. And I would invite some of these yahoo judges that have not gone to the trouble to run for the legislature. They're just making decrees from Mount Olympus. They got to come down off their mountain and run for office if they're going to legislate. Otherwise, we ought to keep taking jurisdiction away if they're going to be that abusive and not be able to police themselves.
Well said.
Well, thank you.